$1 billion dollars. What the hell just happened, Marvel? Well, if I talk to you about a superhero movie, what comes to mind? Most likely something like this. Exactly. A group of good-looking people with great skills who altruistically save the day. That's what the entertainment industry has been in charge of for almost a century. That superheroes are that figure that children admire, that they give good messages, and above all, that parents can't sue Marvel for being a bad influence on their children. And this whole model was working until this butt wrapped in red tights came to change the whole system for Marvel. Today we come to talk about how all the gunpowder and blood that this man spilled was good for the world of superheroes. Today we come to talk about how the MCU was saved by Deadpool. In the history of literature, anti-heroes were figures who were not evil. They have the intentions of doing good, but without using the conventional means allowed by law, or without having a very well-defined moral line, and that is why they are so fucking funny. They're the most realistic characters in comics. If people had Superman's powers or Batman's tools, they would not be the #1 defenders of human rights. They would most likely also take their katanas and their red suits and go out to attack everything that smells like a criminal in the streets. And that is how we fell in love with Wade Wilson. But was it really always like that? Well, you guessed right. No. Let's go back to 2009 when the first formal presentation of this character on the big screen is made. X-Men Origins Wolverine. A continuation of the successful mutant saga, this film also generated a lot of commercial success. But I think it is not necessary to remember the great stigma that this film represents for superhero cinema. Being enormously hated within the geek community for many reasons, but among those was how they turned Deadpool into a character with the charisma and appearance of a melted candle. Weapon XI, a very powerful antagonist, but up until there, the serious tone of the movie did not help to present this character. They turned him just into a weapon, and took away all of his personality. He was no longer the Merc with a mouth, with the wisecracks and dark sense of humor, or this crazy guy who blows himself up while lying on top of barrels of gasoline. They made him the villain of the week, and I don't know who the genius was who thought that sewing his mouth shut was a great idea, but thanks for turning a comic anti-hero into a villain from The Mummy. Now the fans were mortified as the image of Deadpool went down the drain, and Fox wasn't going to invest more into a movie of such a criticized character. But a disappointed Reynolds knew that the character still had potential to be exploited. So during several conversations with the Fox team, there came a great opportunity due to a popular leaked test video. And so, Fox in a tight corner gave the green light to the Deadpool movie, and well, the rest is history. Or maybe not.
It's the biggest ever February debut. It's the biggest R-rated debut ever.
At a time when the MCU movies were sweeping both the box office and the hearts of the public, Deadpool sweeping the box office meant something else. Superheroes were not just for children. The grown-up fans wanted something more, to hear the F-bomb more than once, to see different things beyond values and interplanetary battles. And Marvel was slowly learning that the hard way. The years passed, it was already 2019, and the snowball that the MCU had been accumulating for years reached its largest point with the premiere of Avengers Endgame, being the ultimate climax for all fans of the franchise. But after all the dust clouds from the explosion settled, the fans laid to rest so many of their favorite actors as the superhero characters. Endgame was also the end to the good years. What was left for fans was a lost Marvel Studios that was trying to come up with new ideas to keep moving forward, but fans only witnessed a downfall. Marvel tried many things to keep the attention of fans through the Disney Plus platform. Many series, many movies, and many characters were introduced into the MCU, but despite that, it just didn't stick. The lack of interest from the loyal fans grew. Many said that this lack of interest came from the saturation of content. from bad special effects, or that people simply got tired of the superhero genre, in the same way that they got tired of westerns. They neglected some of the fundamental aspects when you make productions of this genre, and following the Endgame years, there were very few installments that met the criteria sufficient enough to keep the audience happy. But then comes the Red Knight. Marvel knew that Deadpool was a multi-million-dollar brand, even though Disney was more focused on series and movies that were aimed at children, but at the same time they were aware that they had something big. Wade Wilson. And they were going to take full advantage of that. With expectations sky high, the day finally arrived. Deadpool and Wolverine was released.
They've been doing this all day. They're so hyped.
Lots of gore, 118 F-bombs, and of course, tons of self-references to the Marvel Universe. This film managed to do something essential that Marvel had been floundering at, making a movie that wasn't boring. Having the freedom of an R-rated movie, it had no limits. Spoiler alert, like Deadpool using Nice Pool as a human shield, or Deadpool massacring all the TVA soldiers with Logan's adamantium skeleton. This movie was full-throttle Ryan Reynolds comedy and packed to the limit with amazing action scenes. This movie also treated the fans with tons of references, hence everything the loyal comic fans were waiting for all their lives. One could not ask for more from a superhero movie. Yeah, sure, they don't give a life message, none of the characters are examples to follow, and the storyline is simply Deadpool's adventures into the multiverse. But who else better to show us around in madness? And yep, that's what we asked for, and that's what they gave us. But the new question is, now what? Is he really Marvel Jesus? Well, let's see. The first thing that he just saved was Marvel's bank account. Marvel's last theatrical release was The Marvels, and at the same time it was Marvel's biggest box office failure, generating losses of $237 million. So for its economic good, Marvel couldn't beat around the bush in its next release. And so Deadpool, Mr. Red needed to bring Marvel back into the black. The second thing, Deadpool saved Marvel's nosediving reputation and possibly future stories. Thirdly, shit was getting out of control with multiverse movies. So did Wade Wilson fix the complicated approach of the multiverse scripts? Maybe. The variants, the timelines, the TVA, sorcery, the Wakandans, the Celestials, the Telecon people, the mutants, Hydra, the Skrulls? Well, in short, the story of the MCU has fundamentally changed by one character, reviving loved characters, bringing back actors who had retired roles, giving the fans exactly what they craved. This all points to the fact that it will most likely not be the last time we see the Red Knight in some future installment of the MCU. But what have we, or more specifically Marvel, learned from this movie? Marvel should take a moment to think about how to continue to recover the glory and affection that the MCU once had. They have to focus on making stories whose main objective is to excite their fans, period. We finally got a good dose of action scenes, comedy, and of course, the best bromance of the year. Logan and Wade giving us a conclusion to a comic saga that we have carried in our hearts for years. Marvel giving the respect by allowing us to say goodbye to those cameo characters that even though they did not have the best success at the box office, they got to take the stage one more time and say their piece. And this movie gave us the opportunity to say goodbye and thank you. Now, it's your turn to say what you think can happen with the MCU. Do you think Deadpool will bring back the glory days to the MCU? Will we see Deadpool in other movies as an addition? Share your opinion in the comments below. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. This video is made by movie fans for movie fans.